The universe has something important to share with you today. Not in a loud or dramatic way, but through a quiet sense of recognition that stirs deep inside. You might not have been looking for a message, but now that it's here, you'll know it's for you. Take a breath. Let yourself receive. The timing isn't random, and what you're about to hear may explain something you've been feeling without fully understanding. This connection you're experiencing, or that you're just beginning to explore, isn't built on surface-level attraction. It's not just chemistry, not just a spark. It's something quieter, but stronger. There's a person in your life, or soon entering it, who brings with them a new flavor of love, one that's gentler, calmer, more stable than what you're used to. And maybe that's exactly why it feels so strange. You're drawn to them, maybe even unexpectedly, and everything about them seems to contrast with the patterns of your past. Imagine this. You've spent years attracted to the wrong people. People who stirred your excitement, yes, but also your insecurity. People who kept you guessing, unsure of their intentions or your own worth. And then, this person appears. Their energy feels different. They're not trying to impress you. They're not rushing anything. But something about their presence makes you stop and take notice. They seem genuinely interested in knowing who you are, not just what you can offer. Maybe you met them online. Maybe you're in different cities, different lives, separated by circumstance. But somehow, the connection is growing anyway. You're exchanging messages. You're sharing thoughts, even if they're simple. There's no certainty yet, but there's movement. A seed has been planted. It's early. You both know that. And maybe on your end, you already feel certain. Like something inside you has clicked. But from their side, the pace is slower. Not out of doubt, but out of care. This person isn't playing games. They're not afraid of connection. They just want to build something real, something that lasts. That means going slow, being intentional. And maybe, because of your past, you've mistaken that for disinterest. But that's not what's happening here. In truth, they're deeply focused. They've thought about what it would be like to see you, to sit across from you, to make time for you. They're planning, quietly, patiently. They're not the kind of person who rushes into something only to fall out of it later. They want to do this right. There's a good chance this person has experienced loss, emotional or otherwise. There's a tenderness in them that comes from having been broken and rebuilt. They're not just seeking love, they're seeking healing too. And that's part of why they were drawn to you. Maybe in your first real conversation, there was this sudden recognition, a shared feeling of, you've been through it too, haven't you? Maybe the two of you bonded quickly, not over common interests, but over emotional scars, past disappointments, that aching feeling of being misunderstood or not chosen. And somehow, instead of scaring each other off, it brought you closer. There's an emotional fluency here. You speak the same language without even trying. They recognize that you've changed, just like they have. You're no longer the person who needs constant proof of being loved. You've started trusting your own instincts more. In past relationships, you might have questioned yourself the second someone took a step back. Now you see the space differently. You see that sometimes taking time is an act of courage, not fear. There's something practical about the way this person loves. Even as their feelings grow, they're trying to stay grounded. It doesn't mean they're cold. Far from it. They feel everything. But they want to move forward in a way that honors both of you. And that's where things begin. Not with intensity or obsession, but with clarity, with patience, with the quiet, brave willingness to build something new, together. When someone has spent a long time healing, love doesn't look impulsive anymore. It doesn't scream. It doesn't demand proof or constant attention. It becomes quieter, but also more deliberate. And that's exactly what's happening here. This person sees you clearly. They're not idealizing you or projecting fantasies. They're genuinely trying to understand who you are. Every time they read your words or hear your voice, they're collecting little pieces of your world, not to figure out how to win you over, but to understand how to fit into your life in a real, sustainable way. They're not afraid of emotional depth. In fact, they crave it. But they also know that depth comes with time, and they're willing to wait. What might have felt like hesitation to you is, in reality, care. A form of emotional intelligence that doesn't rush into something just because the feelings are strong. They've probably told themselves, at some point, that they were done with love, that they had nothing left to give, that being alone felt safer than trying again. And then you came along. Not as a fix, not as a savior, but as something unexpected. A reminder that maybe they weren't done after all. They don't see you as a project or a fantasy. They see you as a real human being, with light and shadow, with history and potential. That's what draws them in. You're not trying to perform for them, and that's exactly why they're staying. Because it's rare to feel this kind of connection and not be tempted to protect yourself behind a mask. But something about this connection makes both of you want to be honest. This person isn't just here for the easy parts. They want to be present through the difficult conversations, the vulnerable confessions, the emotional pauses. And it's not because they like drama, it's because they value truth. They believe that closeness can't grow without it. And whether you realize it or not, they already feel safe enough with you to speak their truth. If you're wondering whether they're holding back because they're unsure, they're not. They're holding space because they want to do this right. They want the kind of connection where both people feel seen and supported, even when it's messy. Especially when it's messy. That's why you may have noticed how grounded they seem. It's not that they don't feel excitement or desire. They absolutely do. But they're channeling that energy into consistency, showing up, responding thoughtfully, asking real questions. Even if there's distance between you, they're building something. Moment by moment, word by word. And maybe that's new for you. Maybe you've known intensity, but not this kind of calm, deliberate care. You might be used to proving yourself, to chasing someone's attention, to second-guessing everything. But here, there's none of that. You're not confused. You're not walking on eggshells. That alone might make you nervous, like it's too good to be true. But it's not. It's just different. You're changing too. You're not who you were before. You're no longer drawn to chaos. You're done with the cycles of attraction that leave you empty. And because of that, you can actually recognize this kind of love now. The kind that grows slowly but deeply. The kind that stays. Even if you still feel echoes of the past, anger, grief, disappointment, you're not stuck in it anymore. You're moving forward. And this person is part of that forward motion. They're not a distraction. They're not a rebound. They're something else entirely. A mirror for the version of you that's ready to love better. You may not even realize how much you've already opened up, how much you've already softened, just by talking to them, just by letting this unfold at its own pace. You're rewriting your story. This time, without trying to control the outcome. This time, you're letting yourself feel, even if you don't know where it's going. Because the truth is, you don't need to know. Not yet. What matters is that you're both here, both present, both willing. And that's more than enough for now. There's something unique about the space between you and this person. The literal and emotional distance. Maybe you're not in the same city, or maybe you just haven't had the chance to be together in person yet. But instead of creating disconnect, that space is becoming a container for growth. It's where the curiosity builds. It's where the connection expands. Most people underestimate what distance can teach. When you're not constantly around someone, you're left with thoughts, with imagination, with anticipation. Every word you exchange becomes more meaningful. Every message carries weight. It's not about quantity, it's about intention. That's exactly what this person is doing. They're intentional. They're not flooding you with attention to get a quick emotional response. They're not trying to force a connection. They're feeling it evolve, naturally, and giving it room to breathe. When they reach out, it's not random. It's thoughtful. It means something, and you feel it. Maybe more than you expected. You might be the more emotionally expressive one. Maybe you're already thinking 10 steps ahead, dreaming of what could be. That's beautiful. And they're not intimidated by that. But they are more reserved, not cold, not disinterested, just cautious in a healthy way. Because they care. They don't want to rush into something only to lose it later. They've probably been there before. Started fast, burned out faster. This time they're doing it differently. And deep down, you want that too. If you've ever felt like someone was just passing time with you, waiting for something better, more exciting, more convenient, this isn't that. This person isn't here to waste time. They know what they feel. They may not have all the answers, but they're clear about this. You matter to them. They want to be careful with your heart. What's interesting is how safe they feel with you, even in silence. They don't feel pressured to entertain you, to perform or impress. You've created a space where they feel seen, really seen, and that's rare for them. You're not just a romantic interest. You've become part of their healing, a reference point for what it means to be understood without having to explain everything. You might not know this, but when you first entered their life, they were carrying pain they hadn't fully processed. Maybe a heartbreak. Maybe grief that wasn't related to love at all. Maybe they had convinced themselves that being alone was easier. That connection was a risk they couldn't afford anymore. And then something about you softened that belief. You didn't even have to do anything dramatic. You were just there, present, consistent, open. And that was enough to plant a seed of hope inside them. They're still figuring it out. They don't pretend to have it all together. But here's the key. They're not pretending at all. What they show you is real, even when it's quiet, even when it's slow, especially when it's slow. This pace isn't about delay, it's about intention. They're not preparing to leave. They're preparing to stay. And that's why they want all of you. Not just the version that smiles and charms. Not just the version that feels safe to love. They want the messy parts, the doubts, the fears, the questions. Because they believe that love isn't real unless it includes the whole truth. Not just the highlight reel. You don't have to earn their affection. You already have it. Now they're just trying to build something strong enough to hold it. That's what the space between you is doing. It's not holding you apart. It's holding you together, silently weaving something deeper. And when the time comes to finally stand face to face, you won't be strangers stepping into something new. You'll be two people who've already been meeting each other in the in-between. And that kind of meeting? It changes everything. There's something quietly profound happening here, not just between you and this person, but within you. This isn't only a story about attraction, or even about love. It's about transformation, about how someone can appear in your life and, without demanding anything, make you want to become more honest, more intentional, more real. You're not approaching this the way you used to. In the past, maybe you flirted with multiple people at once, kept things light, or tried to stay emotionally detached as a way to protect yourself. You didn't do it to hurt anyone. You did it to survive. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that vulnerability meant risk. That showing up fully often ended in disappointment. That caring too much left scars. But this is different. This person doesn't trigger those old reflexes. You're not calculating how to impress them. You're not caught in the loop of trying to be perfect. In fact, you're starting to notice that with them, you don't feel the need to perform at all. You find yourself thinking differently, feeling differently. The way they listen to you, the way they hold space, it makes you want to be softer. Not because you're weak, but because you finally feel safe enough to let go of the armor. And while you're changing, they are too. This person might not be as open to spiritual things as you are. Not yet, anyway. They're more grounded, more rational. But being near you is shifting something in them. Your presence is making them curious. Curious about connection, about energy, about what it means to feel deeply and still be safe. You might not realize it yet, but you're playing a part in their awakening. You're not forcing anything. You're just being yourself. And that's exactly what's having the biggest impact. They may not use words like soulmate or divine timing. They may not know how to name the invisible threads pulling you together, but they feel it. That quiet certainty, that sense that your paths were meant to cross, even if the timing, the setting, and the circumstances weren't what either of you expected. And because of that, they're taking this seriously. They don't want to rush it, not because they're unsure, but because they're sure enough to want to build it right. That's rare. That's powerful. They're reflecting on their own past, too. On the relationships that broke them, the patterns they repeated, the mistakes they made. They don't want to carry that into this. They're trying, quietly, to let go of those old habits, to approach this with a fresh heart. And they don't even need you to notice it. They're not doing it for recognition. They're doing it because, for the first time in a long time, they believe something real could grow here. And they're right. You're both carrying pieces of old pain, but you're no longer stuck there. You're not repeating. You're rewriting. Every word you exchange is a page in a new story. One without the blame, without the fear, without the pressure to constantly prove your worth. One where both people are allowed to show up as they are, with the promise of becoming even more. This isn't about trying to fix each other. It's not about using someone else as a way to avoid your healing. This is about witnessing each other, being present, being open, being willing to learn and unlearn, side by side. You're realizing that the right kind of connection doesn't make you anxious. It makes you honest. It calls you into the present moment, over and over again, until you start to trust it, until you start to trust yourself in it. And maybe that's the real miracle here. That after everything you've been through, after all the times love made you question your own value, you're still willing to try. Still willing to open your heart. Still willing to believe. Because now, it's not just about finding someone who wants you. It's about finding someone who sees you. And even more, someone who stays. This moment you're in, this beginning that feels both fragile and full of promise, is not accidental. The universe doesn't introduce you to someone like this for no reason. There's something unfolding here, something sacred in its slowness, in its sincerity. You may not have all the answers yet. You might still question whether it's mutual, whether it's possible, whether it's real. But in the quiet in-between, in the space where you both continue to show up, little by little, the truth is being built. It doesn't need to be rushed. It needs to be nurtured. This person, the one you keep thinking about, is more sure of you than you know. They might not say everything out loud yet. They might still be holding back, not out of fear, but out of care. They don't want to scare you. They don't want to move too fast and risk breaking something that feels rare. But deep down, they already know you're the one. They've seen enough of you to understand your essence. They know you're not pretending. You're not here to play games. You're someone who's done the work, felt the ache of loneliness, and still believes in what love can be. That's powerful, and that's why they're staying. You may think it's still uncertain, that this is only a seed. But they see the tree. They see the possibility. They see the life that could grow from what you're planting now. They're not here for a temporary distraction. They're here because when they look at you, they feel peace. Not confusion, not chaos. Peace. And maybe that's what makes this love so different from anything you've known. It's not based on intensity that burns too quickly. It's not about emotional highs followed by emotional crashes. It's not about constantly asking yourself if you're enough. With this person, it feels steady, kind, real. They want to know all of you, not just the polished version, not just the good moods and big dreams. They're open to the harder parts too, the doubts, the past mistakes, the fears that still creep in at night. And the best part? They're not afraid of any of it. Because when someone really sees you, they don't flinch at your shadows. They sit beside them and wait with you. They choose to stay. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. And you? You're ready. Maybe for the first time in your life, you're truly ready. Ready to stop performing. Ready to stop waiting for the other person to leave. Ready to stop measuring your worth by how quickly someone commits. You're learning that real love doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives like a sunrise, slow, warm, and steady. But once it's here, it changes everything. This is the beginning of something big, something honest, something that could reshape not just your idea of love, but your understanding of who you are within it. So take a breath. Let it in. Let go of the need to control the outcome. Let the story write itself, because it already is. And every word feels right. The universe didn't bring this person into your life by accident. This is your invitation to trust again. Slowly, bravely, completely. Let love grow at its own pace. Let yourself be seen. Let it be real. If you feel like this message was meant for you, write in the comments, the joy of this love. Like this video. Share it with someone who might need to hear this today. And don't forget to subscribe for more messages from the universe. Thank you for being here. You're not alone, and your story is just beginning.